And thank you for
Ow,
sharing that press up.
damn.
What were you doing? You stabbed yourself in the mouth?
I'm at a higher table because my kitchen's hotter than the dining room. So I just,
All right.
Patrick,
We
when
have
are
a
you
All
lot.
right,
having
we're
a
ready to
party?
go. We're ready to go.
Okay.
All right. So thank you all for being here for our July Public Safety Committee meeting. We will get the party started with Business Administrator Wary and some report from Office of Emergency Management.
Thank you. We are looking at what's projected to be a very active hurricane season this year. So that's been the topic at recent OEM meetings and with utilities. So we discussed it at length, and they had a couple policy experts at the last OEM meeting with the county. And we had some calls with utilities who are also preparing for an active hurricane season, and what our response should be. So that's something we're always keeping an eye on, along with the heat, which we've seen have a lot of very hot days recently. We've been putting out pretty frequent communication to the public about cooling centers and pool openings and what to do if you're experiencing heat stroke or heat exhaustion. Fortunately, we haven't had to open any cooling centers to date, but we have had a lot of use out of the pool, which is always good. So those are the two things we'll be watching, I'm sure, for the next couple of weeks. That is the OEM report.
Awesome. Did the or I guess the chief, I don't know if you heard anything. Have you heard anything back in regards to the numbers, like the changing it from 4 to 8 instead of all day? Has that helped with some of the pressure on the staff?
Yes, I mean, because for the same reason the public wants to go to the pool, we have exhausted lifeguards who are out in the sun in this heat, patio staff, managers, and so we're trying to manage that as well. And the public so far has been very responsive, as have our guards. It seems like with this 4 to 8, and it could shift different days depending on what our staffing looks like and what maybe the public need looks like. But right now, we've received just positive feedback, which is good.
Pat, Mr. DeLuca's in the waiting room.
I just moved him over.
Okay.
Awesome. And time for him to give his report. Welcome, Mr. DeLuca.
How you doing?
Doing well. Oh, you're outside. You're a bold soul. It's hot.
Oh, no, he's down the shore. Stop.
So we have moved on to the next portion, our SEFD report.
So the tally of incidents from January through May is sort of on target. It's about 2,000, and which makes sense because we're, somewhere around 5,000 for the year. So again, the majority, 35% is EMS, and as far as building fires, cooking fires, fires in structures, it's under 5%, which is a good thing. We don't want higher numbers, but again, without EMS, we would have, there would be not a lot of calls at the moment. So.
And how did July 4th turn out? Because I know that there were a couple of stray fireworks in the big show. And then as I was coming home pretty much for the rest of the night into the next day, I heard fireworks going off all over my neighborhood. Folks haven't been watering their lawns, so things are pretty dry out there. I was just wondering if anything went down. Or if anything was
No, I
heard.
haven't heard any kind of issue. The fireworks were uneventful. We did learn, actually, both at Juneteenth and the 4th of July fireworks. We need better communication with the fireworks company, because in the past, when the 4th of July group did it, they used walkie-talkies, but we have not been using it. So we had some difficulties in conveying the message to the fireworks guys to start the show. So it didn't start till about 9:10, and then by the time it got going, towards the end, it started to rain. So I spoke to Melissa about that. We're gonna do a debriefing and we're gonna fix that for next year, both for and talk to Conklin about a better protocol for all the fireworks so that we have direct communication with the fireworks providers. But other than that, there was no issue. And Chief, I don't think there were any police issues, right?
No, I spoke to Lieutenant Guerin, who was in charge and set up the security for the event. He said no issues.
Yeah, I gotta give them props to that, because coming out of the parking lot, they made the decision to block off Valley and make people go up the hill. And I think that helped a lot because there were a lot of people on foot, but many of them came from Parker. So the pedestrian traffic was walking along Valley Street, and all the cars were going up Oakland, Oakview, and it just worked out and parked. So it was a little congested and people started to get a little frustrated, but for the most part, it seemed like folks were calm. Even though the numbers were outstanding, we had crazy numbers.
The one thing I think we will talk about to Lieutenant when we do the debrief is, Chief, we really did not have any human coverage. At least this is what I was told up on Prospect. So we didn't have any. We used to have crossing guards or CSO officers up there, our parking enforcement officers up there, but we didn't have anybody up there, and it was a little difficult, particularly at Oakview Park. So we have to talk about that. That I think is a prime location for our CERT folks and some of these other people for next year.
Gotcha.
So does anyone have any questions for Mr. DeLuca or for Mr. Wary? Should ask that before I moved on, Mr. Wary. Mayor? No? Okay, great. So Chief Sally, it's on to you. Do you want to bring it up on your screen or do you want me to? And you are muted.
I'll read it off. I have addresses on here. I don't really want to give
Oh,
out.
I copy that.
So I'm just going to go by the year comparison up to May from last year to this year. Pretty much we're doing good with the robberies. Last year at this time we had 5. This year we only have 1. Aggravated assaults are pretty much the same, 8 in 2023, 7 in 2024. So the next 2 categories are the ones that we are concerned about. Burglaries, last year at this time it was 9. Now we have 15 for May. And then thefts, 71 in 2023 and 108 in 2024. We actually have a decrease in auto thefts. In 2023, we were at 28. This year, we're at 22. So that's pretty much the stats up to May as far as our major crimes. As you can see, our main concern are these burglaries that we are getting in town. I'm just going to read off a memo I wrote regarding the burglaries. In 2024, the Township of Maplewood is experiencing an increase in burglaries. The Maplewood Police Department is committed to preventing, investigation, and apprehending subjects for these crimes. The perpetrators intend to enter the home, locate vehicle keys, and steal the car from the driveway or garage. Police recommend not confronting subjects, but calling 911. These burglaries typically occur between 2:30 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. They are concentrated in the area affecting residents west of Springfield Avenue up to the Milburn border of Wyoming Avenue. The ongoing investigation has highlighted targeted vehicles in our town and nearby jurisdictions. We are committed to keeping you informed about our progress. The kind of cars we are seeing, BMW, X3, X5, and M package, Audi Q4, Q5, and Q8, Mercedes GLC, GLE, and AMG package, Porsche Macan and Cayenne, and Range Rover. Your safety is our top concern and dedicated to addressing this issue. What we're doing as the police department proactively, we have increased patrol officers in the area during the time frame. This detail is high visibility detail, occurs during all 3 police shifts with marked vehicles and uniform officers. Detectives are on the street in the area during the time frame that I stated above. The presence of unmarked vehicles and plainclothes detectives. Detectives are also conducting investigations on these burglaries. The Detective Bureau investigates and works with multiple jurisdictions, including the New Jersey State Police Task Force, sharing data information. The investigations include field interviews, canvassing the area, video gathering, fingerprint submission, and collecting evidence from crime scenes to identify and apprehend subjects. What we're asking for the public, continue to lock doors and use alarms, camera systems if you have them. Call 911 immediately for any emergency at any time. However, call the police immediately for suspicious activity at your home between the hours of 2:30 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. Officers will be in the area to provide quick response. Non-emergency or have information regarding the burglaries or general information, call our main number, which is 973-762-3400. We also offer free home surveys, which you can sign up for on maplewoodpd.org. So we have, again, as I mentioned in this memo, we have areas mapped out. We know the time frames. We have officers out there. I was actually out there a couple nights, and our guys are moving around, and I'm running into them. So we are moving. I could say we probably, I don't know how many we might have prevented, but I know 2 of them that we might have prevented where a car saw our officer, took off and went to another town. A stolen car. Saw one of our officers and continued off. So we'll continue to do these details. We'll continue to be proactive, and we are still investigating the ones that happened. And we are waiting for certain evidence and different information, hopefully to make identification.
Thanks, Chief. And thank you again for that press release. That was very informative and helpful. Does anyone have any questions, particularly for the chief?
No, thanks, Chief, for being responsive and clear on how this is going and explaining it to both Deputy Mayor and I, and also just having all the information and being on site. That's also, I'm sure that meant a lot to you guys and girls.
Yeah, and also we'll as we get more information, the stuff that we can release, we'll update the public about it.
So, this perception of crime stuff is a tricky thing because, we had somebody come, we had last couple of meetings, we've had people come, we had people from Jacoby Street coming. We had last week, I can't remember exactly where she was from, spoke to us.
Oakland Road.
Okay. So, and, then you see stuff online and what have you. I think that if this occurs, if this sort of buzz keeps going, I think we should consider something we've done in the past, and that is to hold a town meeting on this, which allows people to see the chief. I mean, it's one thing to see the press release. It's another thing to see the chief and maybe the head of detectives and whoever else. First of all, listen to what the people are saying, and second, convey the message to them. It's a little tricky because you don't want to feed on stuff, but on the other hand, you want to show that you're actually out there responding. So I don't think we need to do it yet, but if this continues, we might want to be a little proactive and do something like a Zoom town hall meeting on this.
Yeah, I remember last year or a year and a half ago, Mr. DeLuca, he had me come out and speak about the robberies we're having over on, the Hilton section. Came out to D Hart and spoke to, the group there. So, yeah, I can see that, taking place.
All right, thank you. Any other further questions for the chief? Or we move
And
into our discussion?
I just want to say, we didn't forget about the rest of the town. So we have regular patrol. We're on, dealing with everything else we have to deal with. But we just have extra for the locations that this is taking place at.
Yeah, I'm seeing this, say the gentleman on Rutgers, not in the parking lot, but on the street. That was really cool to see today. Ms. Pipers has a question.
Hi, it's Pasha. Sorry I'm not on camera. I'm attending for the Maplewood Community Board and Police, but I'm also watching my kids at the pool. So not on camera, and I'm sorry about the background noise. Hopefully you can hear me. I wanted to say on the topic of holding some kind of community forum, etc. We are actually planning on hosting something in the fall, really meant to see what is on the community's minds. And when this came up at the last meeting last week, I was like, I'm absolutely certain that some of these issues around crime and security will come up from some of the residents. So if you are thinking about hosting something, make sure you reach out to us. I think we can certainly coordinate. We would obviously be inviting the chief and the deputy chief and whoever else to that sort of open community forum. So no need to also host something if you can do it in partnership with us.
Do you happen to have dates for that just yet?
No, I mean, we just met last week and sort of said we want to do this. So next steps are for the community engagement subcommittee to work with the township, figure out a good date, a good place. Thinking about DeHart, probably late September, October timeframe, but obviously don't want to be in conflict with other stuff that's happening in town. So looking into that now.
All right, well, thank you, and keep us posted, because I'm pretty sure we also could make, if necessary, if the numbers are high enough, town hall available as well.
Yeah, I think just on that, Kasha, if we want to do a hybrid in person and Zoom, really town hall is the place to do it because we have the capacity there where we really don't have that in the other public facilities.
That's good to know. How do you do it when you're in town hall? Because I guess everyone just sits up on the dais and then.
No, we've got the cameras. I mean, the room is covered by the general camera and then the speakers,
Okay.
but the section where people could come up and ask questions is the podium off to the side, and Amari, Ala, and possibly even Ed. We've got people who
Okay.
can handle the tech.
All right. Yeah, it goes to show last time I was in town hall for a meeting. Sorry, guys. Okay, great. I'll pass that on to that subcommittee. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. My computer has frozen for some reason, so I'm having to use my phone for my agenda. So going to the discussion items, we've already kind of covered the burglary activity, basically of the report that Chief just read. But another bit of questioning were happening with the package thefts that went down on the Indiana. I know one of these actually were directly attributed to one of our unhoused residents. But I don't know if there was any follow-up or if there's been any additional things that have
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
happened.
so, I checked, there was only one package theft on Indiana. We did make an arrest. I'm not sure if he's unhoused or not. I have not been able to, we do have, the person who was arrested does have an address. They were arrested and then it was found to have a warrant also for their arrest. The officers involved are, I had not had the opportunity to speak to them to determine if they made that determination if the person was unhoused. They are have been off the last few days with vacations and different stuff. So I can't confirm that the person was unhoused, but from the report, he has an address. And it was only one theft on Indiana, package
Okay.
theft, Amazon.
All right. It could also be one of the scenarios where folks are nervous and make it bigger than it was before, because it seemed like this person, the way they described it in their email, is that the person was found with multiple packages.
Yeah, I think he had about two or three different packages from the street. But I believe it was the same victim.
Okay.
And he was, the rest was he was cooperative and put into custody, and then found out they had a warrant as well.
So I think as far as like even that community forum, that could be something we could bring up during that time period, because there's still that general messaging for some folks, particularly when incidents of littering and behavior and noise and what some folks would consider loitering, but the rest of us is just using the public benches, associate with the community fridge. We want this initiative to continue, but we also want it to be something that adds to the town versus makes things more difficult for folks. So I don't know, there's gonna be further discussion in regards to what some potential plans and stuff are going, but I do want to report, if folks haven't been participating or listening to the public health meetings, that our health officer Davenport has mentioned that there is now 7 days a week, somebody there for a few hours a day to talk to members of the community, and they schedule different times. So there's always some outreach constantly happening, and they're starting to make inroads. We can't force people to not be in town, and we can't force them to take any of the community services available for them to use, to possibly make it a little bit easier for him to do things. But at the same time, the work is being done, and it's just not being reported on because there's nothing really to report until something changes. That is happening. And so the people who were in the parks previously have been reached out to directly. The folks that were over at the playing fields and over at the fridge themselves have been regularly and repeatedly reached out to. And hopefully over the next few months, as they develop those relationships with the members of our community group that we contracted to take care of them, they will get the services that they need. Alrighty, next on the list. I put this on the agenda because I had 3 or 4 people in my neighborhood, I'm over in Lightning Brook, bring it up. And the fact that the pipe repairs, I guess they're moving on to the next group or the next phase. And we're wanting to know a bit. And it's unfortunate that Engineer Kittner is not here. So I'll probably have to send them an email about that. But many of the folks felt that information in particular about the fact that you have to boil your water or filter your water for many, many months was new. That came out of left field for most folks. So I don't know what that whole idea around communications is supposed to be happening beforehand, but to me, something like that should be issued in advance, not now that we're done, here's what you should expect. And I put it in public safety, even though it's a health thing, because there's a lot of folks in the community who have babies and young children, and it can be a problem if we don't find out until after the fact that we've now got to go to a filter or have bottled water available. So I'd love to find out what the next areas they're being targeted are and make sure that those folks are given that kind of information in advance versus afterwards. So I'll formulate an email and I'll copy you all on it and send it out to Engineer Kittner. But I felt, and many people in our community felt, that the information that was given out by NJAW was inadequate and incomplete. And it didn't sit right with most of the folks in the community. We were happy that the work got finally done because it needed to be done, but we didn't know all the details until they were leaving. And that was kind of blah.
Mr. Wary, can you explain the communication that's supposed to happen, or whose responsibility it is and all that stuff?
Sure.
For American Water.
Yeah, New Jersey American Water is making the infrastructure upgrades and doing their lead service line replacement program. It's a program, since they're a utility, that's governed by BPU in terms of notifications they make and how they perform the work. We agree that more needs to be done regarding communications with our residents in terms of timing, in terms of language that the communication is provided, as well as lessening the impact of the construction on people in the construction area. We've been advocating for our residents to New Jersey American Water. They had started to make notifications to people who were affected by the shutoffs, even if their service lines weren't being replaced, as well as translating some of the notices into Haitian Creole. My understanding from New Jersey American Water about what the process should be, and I've shared some of those materials with the township committee that they hand out, is that they'll usually go out there and pre-dig to identify if a lead service line exists. If it does exist, they make contact with the property owner, schedule the replacement. The property owners, again, this is all my understanding from New Jersey American Water, is supposed to sign off on the line being replaced. And they're given literature on what to do after the replacement, such as flushing. They're also given an opportunity to receive a pitcher to filter the water and to filter out any lead that may have been introduced into the water system as a result of the line replacement, and with instructions on how to use that. As far as, when, maybe that process is not being followed properly, and, we should look at specific instances so we can drill down with New Jersey American Water as to why that's not taking place. These lead service line replacements aren't restricted to one area in town. They've been doing them, throughout town for a few years now. They'll come through and maybe work in earnest for a couple of months, and then maybe they're not in town for a few months, and then they come back for a few months. But they're, throughout town. They're responsible to replace every lead service line in town. So there won't be an area that they don't touch.
Do they notify us before they go? I mean, the township itself? Probably not, right?
I mean, we know that they're out there working, but in terms of a detailed
Yeah,
plan,
I
not
mean,
always. And part of that, we need to improve with New Jersey American Water. I think part of that is they don't know a lot of times if they have a lead service line to replace, because a lot of this requires them to dig a hole to identify if a lead service line exists that requires replacement. So if they have a street or an area with less service lines that are lead, less replacement, they're moving through quicker. So they're spending less time in that area, and then they're on to the next area sooner. And the exact
Right, but I
opposite.
think and I think they could let us know where they're looking, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, that residents would be further notified if they find lead pipes. So I think there needs to be more, and you can tell us as the governing body whether or not there's something we should be doing, whether it's a communication to BPU or New Jersey American, or just. But I think it's not that hard. If they're going out and, all they have to do is have a contact to even call when, hey, we're over on, Jacoby Street tomorrow. I mean, even if
we have contacts for the project managers, and all the residents receive contact for the project manager, which is on the flyer that they're giving out. Again, if they're supposed to be giving out, if there are instances where residents say we're not receiving it, we need to drill down on that with the New Jersey American Water to understand where the process failed.
Yeah, I just think maybe a meeting with them or something so that we can get in place some guidelines. Hey, we're going to come to your town to look. We're going to be looking over on Ridgewood Road.
Sure.
Be looking over here. If we find lead pipes, then we'll notify you yet again. So, but it needs to be coordinated.
Mayor, my experience when I was mayor is that New Jersey American Water responds quickly to mayors.
Okay.
So I would suggest you coordinate with Patrick and Paul, and Paul may be working with somebody in their construction or operation, but you may want to reach out to their community affairs person.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've been in contact with that
Sounds
person
good.
as recent as today, actually, speaking with their senior director of communication and external affairs. So maybe that's a conversation that the three of us can have together, me, you, Paul, with New Jersey American Water.
Sure. Okay, we'll coordinate it offline.
Sure.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Mr. Waring. So next time on the listing, I put down the installation of Springfield Avenue crossing signals. I meant to delete that because we've already gone through that. That was last meeting. I know they're happening and they're going up as they can come. And so far, they've been looking good. I had a couple people stop me at Maple Crest Park and talk about how it seemed a little safer to cross over by the police department. I don't know if that's where a place where one of them is gone, but they did feel like they had more time and they weren't playing the human version of Frogger, as she called it, trying to get her kid to the park. So they're effective and people are happy to see them and we forward to seeing more of them go up.
So the schedule for redoing Springfield Avenue paving is next spring of 2025. And at that time, I think we'll be replacing all the signals and the lights. And we'll be switching out. I'm hoping we'll be switching out to the new high intensity beacons that we put on Burnett, as opposed to what we have now with the on the non-signalized intersection. We just have the lights around the sign, which aren't very effective.
Right. There's also, are you with the high intensity, are you talking about the ones that you and I've talked about before that are used in Summit downtown, or this even more so? You know, the ones that flash like that?
Yeah, they flash. Yeah.
It's like the
Yes.
one on Burnett across from the Hart parking lot. If you
Yes.
remember what that one looked like.
Okay.
And it makes noise, which is awesome. All right, drinking and drug
Debatable.
use. I was in DeHart day before yesterday and yet again in that corner over by the beginning of the senior center parking lot. There was a lot of paraphernalia. So kids are still going in those corners, people, I won't say kids. I won't assume it's children. But people are still going there. They're still drinking, they're still smoking, and they're still throwing their garbage out the window into the park. And dogs and kids are out there. And I don't pick any of it up, but because I don't know if there's a needle or anything in it, but I just fear if that's the case. So Chief, I don't know with all the other things going on, you've got 1,000 things on your plate and a bunch of balls in the air. I know it's a difficult time right now, but there still needs to be better patrols, in particular those dark areas in the park, because we even now have paraphernalia we're finding in Borden Park.
Yeah, so we conducted over 50 inspections there for the last month. You know, maybe it's the times we're getting there, we're not seeing them actually doing it, but I know the paraphernalia is there. I was driving through one day and I saw a group at the gazebo towards the Newark wayside, and I called it in. But we've done a whole bunch of checks. Maybe we need to you know, I got to change the hours of when we're checking it, maybe a little later, because I'm being told that they're not seeing the actual CDS happening when they arrive.
Yeah, because the DPW is on it. They pick it right up
Yeah.
when they get out there. That's one of their regular places, so it gets picked up fairly often, thank goodness. But
And it's by the
got to stop it from happening.
yeah, it's at the so it's mostly at the gazebo area, right? Towards the
Mostly
back.
at the gazebo, but where I was actually by the senior center in the front,
Okay.
that dark corner under the trees over there. That's where I was
And
at.
yeah, in the front, I found someone I parked over there for.
Yeah, and Borden
bingo.
Park said they found it by the bathroom, well, by the building. Which could also have been attributed to the person that was staying there, because there's a lot of garbage that was there before.
All right, well, I'll update that and I'll make sure we get over there. But we have been doing checks, but I know I've been told it's not been fruitful, but I'll get on that.
Thank you.
Is Pat,
Well-
is DPW cleaning up over there, like on a daily basis to clean up that kind of garbage? Because, you know, just like graffiti attracts graffiti.
Yeah, and I know that they've said that they have been, and Ms. Kripe had indicated that they're over there frequently to clean up.
Yeah, they're at the heart. The cans are getting emptied regularly now and things are getting picked up, but they're always cleaning. I swear. There's never a day they're not sweeping up and raking up bottles and tubes and things.
Yeah, and we're doing the same type checks at Maple Crest, Borden, D Hart. We mentioned the Seth Boyden School before. And we're conducting checks there as well. And just while I'm talking, the Seth Boyden School, I spoke to the superintendent today, and I told him we'll be doing checks back there, but we haven't been seeing the late basketball playing or the unhoused person back there.
Well, to continue on the conversation on litter, I don't know if this is something that folks are noticing or if it's maybe the garbage cans and the recycling falling over, but coming back and driving around a lot during the July 4th week, I saw garbage everywhere in Maplewood. And it was kind of surprising how many plastic bottles and cans that were gathered in the drains, especially at intersections and stuff. And this mostly was driving from my house on Jacoby into town. So it would be parts of Burnett, Rutgers, a little bit of Hilton, but there wasn't a street that didn't have litter. And so I'm wondering, because it's been a long time since I've seen any kind of anti-littering push we can make in this town, but folks are getting really lax in either tying their bags down or keeping the lids closed on the recycling if they're putting it on the corner. Maybe reminders need to be given out to the garbage guys. Hey, if you spill it, pick it up. But they're seeing a lot more litter, and it's too hot to be turning into New York City. I'm sorry. We got enough things to worry about. We don't need to be New York here. But folks, I would love to think of maybe even something in cooperation with public health, a campaign for litter and reminding people it's not that difficult to just take it home if there's no garbage can near you. And if there is a garbage can near you, don't throw it at it, put it in it. Sorry, I had to talk to Alice. I don't know if this has been anyone else's experience, but it has been mine for the last week or two.
I've noticed more about around the storm drains throughout town. I think that's got to do with the heavy rains. Yeah, everything flows downhill, and
It is, but there's so
Along
many
with the
cans
water.
around town. Almost, I don't
Yeah.
want to say every intersection, but pretty much every major intersection has cans on both sides. So if you're a
Yeah, no.
pedestrian,
I think it's I think it might be a combination of both. A public service announcement on that doesn't ever hurt. So
yeah,
Patrick, our Clean Communities grant money, what do we use that for?
I'll have to look. I'll have to look.
I mean,
at what
maybe we
most
can just
recently,
do,
because
do something, use some of that to do a education campaign or something.
right, part of it has to be education. So I can see specific to the education component of what we're doing, and we can gear something towards litter.
yeah. Because even July 4th, which was weird, the DPW was out in great numbers, and this is before the rain fell, near both of the cans that were near me. There was garbage all around the cans, but the cans weren't full. So it was like people kind of threw it at the can, and if it didn't make it, they were like, oh well, and they just kept moving instead of going to pick it up, even though it was their garbage. So that whole community mindset, I would love for something to come together around that, because folks are getting lax or have been lax, and it's time to step it up. Moving on. Ticketing and traffic enforcement. I know, Chief, this seems like it's like beat on Chief Sally Day, but the speeding is still happening. There was a kid at the intersection of Rutgers and Burnett that almost got hit day before yesterday, and he was in the crosswalk with his bike walking it across the street, and people blow through that stop sign still. My husband almost got T-boned.
And we've been out there a lot, because I'm looking at it now. Radar
Folks
detail.
they
Old
take
school.
that stop as if I'm stopped 4 cars back behind someone who stopped, then I've already stopped.
Yeah,
Because those are the culprits, usually the one that's like 3rd or 4th car back
Right.
that just blow through the stop sign.
maybe they're doing it when we're leaving. because we've been out there. I mean, we have multi-officer details, special crime details, radar detail. I see them out there, but you know, maybe it's a thing when they see the officer there, that's when they stop. You know, then when we're not there, it's kind of different. But you know, maybe we'll look into different ways of doing that. I have a few ideas. I don't want to talk about it on
Online, no.
online. It also goes to our burglary details that I have something in mind for too as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the pastor of the church on Burnett wanted me to say thank you because that electric sign that tells everybody their speed as they're coming through has really helped on Sundays and Wednesdays when they've had their gatherings because they park on both sides of the road. And sometimes because there are no crosswalk marks in those areas near their building, they have to have their own people out there basically being traffic cops.
Okay.
But he said, thank you for that sign. He's like, I don't know why he chose to park it there, but it's helping. So leave
Because
it
well,
there.
that used to be like a speed trap.
Right.
Because Union was like 40 or something.
Mhm.
still
Yeah,
have
when
the
you cross the
25.
traffic light, but it's
Right,
now all
right,
25
right.
and people don't
Yeah.
remember, they don't realize it.
Right.
All right, cool.
Is Union putting any cops over there or any speed controls on their end side of the street? Do you know? Or maybe you could
You know,
talk to them?
they reduced the speed limit to 25 and they've been out there.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
they're still painting lines because they recently finished up completing that big construction project they had going on. So they're still painting
Mhm.
and putting out the flashers and stuff. So they're not done yet.
I think it takes time for people to, I mean, we're talking about PSAs, maybe teaching people how to react at a four-way stop, like what you're supposed to do. But
It sounds silly, but I could think of a couple kids at the high school would happily record that PSA. So it may not be that big of a big expense.
Yeah, we
But
did
yeah.
a PSA. We did a PSA last year with Columbia High School as far as crosswalk and crossing the street with our
Cooper.
community engagement
was
units.
that the Be Like Cooper?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Cooper.
Yeah,
I've known that
yeah,
kid
Be
since
Like-
he was in diapers.
That was
Yeah.
a couple years ago. Be Like Cooper. Yeah.
yeah, that was it. Be like,
All right. Finally, I don't know if we had any follow-up on it. I forgot between the last meeting and everything, reaching out to Google Maps and to Waze in regards to the community. How do we influence them to let people know that this is a residential area, not a cut through? Because we have block parties happening, and every time we show up for one, there's a group of people that show up near the end or at some point and they want to cut through, and they don't live on the block. They're just using the block to get to Springfield Avenue. So it's the map that's telling them this is the way to go, but it's going through people's neighborhoods with have cones and things up for events, and they don't change. They just, this is where I'm going.
I've looked at this in Google Maps. I haven't found a way to identify a local roadway that's not permitted, or not, that's not permitted, that we don't prefer for direction. So you can do no through streets or times when the streets don't allow incoming traffic or one ways, road closures you can report, but just a roadway that's a public roadway, but a local road that we don't prefer to be used for through traffic. I haven't found a way to report those on Google Maps.
Because we've done all the traffic calming things we can do on Van Ness. But that's a perfect example. That's the one that's often given as the, hey, to get to Springfield, go here. And we watch sometimes as the sparks fly off the undercarriages of these cars as they hit these speed humps well above 25 miles an hour. And they don't care.
Yeah.
So we've done everything we can do on our end. I just wonder how we could fit it, but you said you looked and there's no chance.
Yeah, I mean, I can
I don't
keep
know.
looking. I think the problem becomes there's no reason that it's not allowed. You know, it's more a preference in that it's a local road and it's not generally thought of as a street for cut through traffic or through traffic, but it's
Yeah.
not prohibited.
And it's
You know,
25 miles an hour.
Patrick, you might want to have a conversation with John McCormick just to see if they have any experience in doing that at dynamic traffic.
Okay,
Because I know when we changed the left turn at Burnett and Tuscan Road, they reported that, so that got taken off. You can't make left turns. And when we created the dead end at Lexington, when we made 44th Street one way, we reported all that. But as you say, those are permanent changes.
right.
You know, the temporary things like a block party it's impossible.
And I can find the ways to report what you're describing, one ways, no through traffic, but there's no legal restriction on the roadways that we're discussing. So what we would be reporting to something like Google Maps is a preference. And in a fair one, we prefer for that not to be used as a through street, but it's legally permissible. I haven't found a way, but I can still talk to John. Maybe he's aware of some way around that would get us the desired outcome.
All right. Were there any other items that folks wanted to bring up for discussion or questions they may have had?
We're going to get to the public comment, right? Because somebody's here
Yep.
to talk to us about Maple Crest.
Yep. That's our next item. So if that
Wanna do that
is the
now?
case, let's do that.
Sure. So to make sure she wants to come into public portion, we do have one member of the public in the attendee room. If you would like to speak in public portion, please raise your hand now and we'll move you over to panelist. All right. And Laura Campos is coming over. Welcome, Laura. You may unmute yourself and address the committee.
Hi. I also have a traffic concern. I guess it's traffic / parking. So there is a lot of use of Maple Crest Park on usually like Tuesday evenings and Saturday, Sundays, like a lot of use, which is great. But some people are parking, I don't know why, either in between the signs that says no parking between signs around the crosswalk, or literally on the crosswalk. And my children and their friends, we live right across the street from the park, have said it's really hard to see around these, and they're big trucks, usually are the ones that are parking in the crosswalk. It's really hard to see around the trucks to cross the street and the crosswalk. Like I can't see a car. Like I literally had my 9-year-old say, a car almost hit me. And I don't want to call the police non-emergency line all the time because I feel like I'm being a pain. I did call once and someone was sent over and they very kindly talked to the person, but I saw the same person parking again in the crosswalk. And so I said, let me just go over and ask him. Maybe he's not seeing the sign. Maybe he doesn't see this giant parking space, one car over in a legal area. And I asked him nicely, please move out of the crosswalk. And he laughed at me and told me he would move his car when the police, well, he either said if or when the police asked him to. So I kind of feel like, while it's nice to ask people nicely instead of giving them like a consequence, they've clearly gotten the impression, in my opinion, that nothing's going to happen and they're just going to park there because they feel like it. So, yeah, I'm concerned about it because I think it's a safety issue, particularly because people do also speed down Oakland. And a lot of kids are going across those streets into that park, not
Right.
always.
Well, I'm sorry that's been your experience. Chief,
Vicky, do you want to report it all?
Yeah. So Chief, before you respond, I just want to inform you, we talked about this, Laura, at this morning's engineering meeting. And we asked the engineer to, in the area between the two signs, to do some cross hatching or maybe even putting no parking in the street. So the cross hatching would be striping there so that you know that you can't park. We also asked them to refresh the crosswalks. There's 4 crosswalks there. 2 of them are not in great shape. 2 of them are okay, but they're gonna take a look at refreshing them. And I'll talk about the park after that, but that's what we talked about as far as the parking situation. We're gonna try to use striping to make it clear that you can't park between the 2 signs, because that is the entrance. And then Chief, we talked about, we just need the police to check it out there and give tickets out if people are parked in crosswalks or in the no parking area.
And just to clarify a little bit, the striping in the no parking areas would be obviously different from the crosswalk striping. So it's like that hash mark in orange that you see when you can't park somewhere.
Yeah, we'll check the parking, but you said it was 2 days, or is it every day?
It's usually it's Tuesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. There's a lot of people playing soccer in the park in particular, and it's those people that are completely disregarding. Like, they know one of them had to move their cars before. I pointed to the sign, and he literally, and he was like, if the police ask me, I'll move it. And I was like, really? You want me to call the police? There's literally a parking spot 1 car over that was legal.
Okay. And you said there were trucks or
They're
what?
big pickup trucks.
Pickup. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Some of them are, we've had this situation for a while. Some of them are painter trucks, pickup trucks, workers' trucks. They come for soccer. They play soccer. So they come from, it's generally from around the area.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay.
But I think, Chief, you would encourage Laura to call the police. She's not a bother. She's a taxpayer, right?
Call us all the time, anytime. Yes. Don't, but the thing is, we will be out there so you won't have to call us.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you also
Anything?
raised the question about people playing on the park on days when we close it because of rain or conditions. So we talked about that. We are going to develop some kind of signage and work with DPW, with Department of Community Services. When they close the park, we'll put signs out there so that no one's supposed to be playing, so that if in fact people are playing, that at least would give the police notice that the park is closed for ball playing, and they should ask those folks to leave.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, again, like it's just when I pay fees for my kid to do ultimate and I get messages from the town, like, the fields are closed, no ultimate today. And then I see other people playing games on those same fields. I find I'm like, this is confusing. Are the fields closed? Why are the fields closed? Is it because it's not safe for the people? Is it not good
No,
for the
it's
people?
because of the damage to the field.
Okay. Thank you.
And so we're going to try to address it that way.
I appreciate all of that. Thank you very much.
And thank you for letting us know, Ms. Campos. Appreciate it. Are there any other folks in attendees that may comment or not?
Nope.
I don't believe we have anything to discuss in executive. So we can bypass that. And if there are no other items. Oh, you okay?
I got one thing to mention in executive.
Yeah. Okay, well then we'll move into executive. Thank you for being with us, Ms. Campos. We're going to be moving into executive.
So I move we go into closed.
Second.
All right.
So hold on, let me turn off YouTube, and Kasha's still with us as well, depending on the nature of this.
You just said bye.
She's saying bye.